Welcome, my dear students. Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone, my dear students. This is another lecture or another video in the training and development process. And we'll talk today about the interview and how the interview can help and how you can reach to an effective interview that you can guarantee the success and being accepted to do the job. Actually, the interview process is divided into three parts. Any interview process is divided into three parts. The first part is before the interview and during the interview and after the interview, as you see. So there is a part before the interview process, another part during the interview, and the third part is after the interview process. Before your interview, you have to plan your questions. The questions which are expected, or the common questions in the interviews, are very famous and familiar. Everybody's familiar with it, and we will repeat it here back. Those questions which is usually asked in any interview. There are things that you have to remember before your interview. The things you remember is to be on time, do not be late. Do not be the first one to enter into the interview. If there are people, just let them go, because sometimes you might get an idea about what's going on inside and what are the types of questions going on. Also, when you reach to the interview place, don't be the first to log in, because you still have to wait for a little while till you relax and you don't feel tense and you know how now to think positively. Go alone to the interview, dress properly. So in the interview, wear professionally, not to wear, like as example, to wear suit, that's fine. To wear in a good dress, that's okay. But not to go with shorts, as example, it's not preferable. Or to or with sexy dresses or whatever. No, you have to be wearing professionally and looks respectfully. This is the meaning of the sentence, dress properly. Match the situation itself. During the interview, answer each question completely. So comprehend the question very well. Give yourself a chance, like seconds, to gather your ideas to answer the question properly. Then start answering. Talk like in the main topic ideas, where the question is heading, the answer is heading as well. So the answers should be exactly to the points, the main points of the question. As example, if I say a question regarding the what courses did you teach, as example, so the answer should be the course is exactly what I taught, and not around it. Don't say, as example, I hope one day to teach this blah blah blah. No, I taught this subject, I taught this subject, I taught this subject. Avoid talking too much, because when you talk too much, some of the main important points you might miss, or you might lose while you are working on it, or it might be like mixed with other non-essential answers. So focus mainly on the main ideas and the main contents which the interviewer wants. Usually, the best time to make a good eye contact during the interview. Eye contact means that you are interested and not to look another place, not to look Just keep your eye in the eye of interviewer. That gives kind of that you are interested in the job and respecting the person to whom you are talking to. Stay calm. For that reason, I was telling you, when you go to the interview, give yourself a chance to relax before you proceed to the interview. Reach earlier, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes earlier. If the place is like, okay, you have to come back like 1:15, then look for a Tim Horton or Starbucks close by, or just sit down there. Relax very close to the interview location. Those are the main points in the interview. Don't be very obsessing. Don't be like, when I will get the results, did you choose me or no? How is the grades which you gave me here in the interview? I will be choosing all these questions. Just smile and thank the interviewer. And if you want to say, hope to hearing from you soon, thank you so much. And that's it. No more, no less. Don't say, when you will contact me. Are you going to contact me tomorrow? Or which day you will contact me? And so on. Those questions are not encouraged to be done. Common interview questions like education training, like what are the questions which should be in the interview, like usually. It includes like these questions: what qualifies you for your job, this job? What are the qualifications? Did you do this job before? What qualifies you have? That's what you'll be asked, like these questions. You'll be asked about the education, what kind of education you have, and what training did you have. In Canada, particularly, they care too much about the Canadian experience. So wherever you go, this is a common question. Did you gain or do you have a Canadian experience? So try to find out, always try to get this Canadian experience by donation, volunteering, by working part-time if you find a chance and you've been lucky and you get a good job. So this will help you also to gain the Canadian experience. Also, be very familiar with the Canadian culture at workplace, because some questions usually it's like very close and touching to the Canadian culture at workplace. Sometimes like questions which is regarding the privacy at workplace. Some questions you'll find related to the details about how to be punctual in time, or how to be ordered in your work. Those some questions also there sometimes. You might be asked also why you are interested to work in our job, in our place. Why you are feeling that you want to work here. So there are a lot of answers, but do not say because of the money. Everybody simply know that you are coming to work because of the money. But you would say I think it's an environment for a challenge, and I like the challenge. You can say also, I feel that I will be doing very well here in this company, because I feel that there is encouraging for the initiatives, ideas, and I like to work in a place where I can initiate my own ideas. Also, there might be some questions about also why you're interested. Still, I'm talking, so read very well before you go to an interview. On the website, what is the background of this company? What is the what you know? You can get it from the part of about us. The part of about us usually includes everything about the company or the place which you are going to or the organization which you are going to work for. It will be including all the ideas, all the informations you need, so you can have a good understanding and good comprehending for the work environment in this organization or on this targeted organization where you apply for work. So before you go, read very well. One of the main common questions in the interviews also is, how did you hear about us? This is also one of the main common questions in any interview. How did you hear about us? So usually you can say the source where you get from the info about this company. So, well, I heard by virally, by through one of my friends told me, refers you to me. Or I heard about the company from Indeed. I was applying for jobs and I heard from Indeed. I heard about you guys from the job bank. I was flipping in the websites and my eyes came to your own company. So you have to be very determined when you decide how did you hear about us. One of the most important questions also for the interviews, which is very common and general questions, is if I hired you, what is the added value which you give me? Which means what thing you think about yourself that you are unique and you can do for me while others cannot do it. This is a very important question as well. So this means that you will see what things you can do to the work, because the job provider or the employer, your prospective employer, he wants to build money. He wants to increase his profits. So he wants to have a good asset. And he wants to think that you are a good asset for him to hire you. So he might ask you questions. What is the added value you will do if I hired you? That means what things you are unique in, and it's characterizing you more than other people. What are the things which I see that it's in you particularly, which is not in other people? Other questions about your reactions. As example, reaction with a client. As example, if you are going for an interview for a personal seller and the interviewer asks you, what you will do with aggressive client? What will you do with hesitated client? What will you do with a client who is having latent demand, means he wants to buy, but actually he needs someone to encourage him to buy? What will you do with such clients? In that case, what you will do? This is another, these kinds or types of questions you have to be prepared for. It's related to the job technical skills, what you will do, and the knowledge, the awareness of your job, and the skills which you possess. Also, some jobs, one of the main points in them is that you have to be very tolerated and very, very peaceful guy, not aggressive. Like as example, the securities jobs and those kind of jobs, when you are asking for an interview, you have to be very tolerated with someone and you have to act professionally. You have to act professionally. So as example, if you are on a front desk and you get aggressive or a rude client, who come to ask you about something, and he's talking in a very aggressive way. So the interviewer want to see, are you going to fight with him, or you are going to act professionally? And as example here, it's not acceptable to talk that way, or so please stop talking like this. What will you do? What will be? Of course, don't show that you will be aggressive, or you do aggressive behavior, or you turn back the aggressive with excess aggressive. So don't show this kinds of behavior. So those are the most common questions which should be asked. But in the first start of the interview, usually, would you give me just a synopsis about yourself, or can you talk about yourself? This is another question you might be expected at the start of any interview. Then they go to the questions which I asked you about your education, your former experience, the current jobs you have, if you are going to do a part-time job in this post regarding this vacancy. All these questions you'll be asked. How did you hear about us? If we hired you, what is the added value that you will give us? Also, so be always patient and be very concentrated, and do not be tense. Order your ideas. Be focused in your answers. Answer only for the asked question, very concisely, very concise. Do not go to more details which is not required while you're doing your interview. Some questions also, like in what situation have you done your best work? Describe the supervisors who motivated you most. Which of your past accomplishments are you most proud of? Describe people with whom when you have found it difficult to work. Some questions also go to an example. What was the worst situation you faced at your work, and how did you deal with it? What was the worst situation you had at work, and how did you deal with this situation? Some of the common questions also is the, like as example, teacher, if you find two students are quarreling and scolding or abusing each other, and what will be your reaction? And this question, maybe when it's asked in public school, maybe the answer will not be like the private schools. Some countries, when they ask questions about what will happen if you see some students are talking politics, where in these countries restricting talking in politics, some, not all the countries. Here are examples of questions to see your reaction and what you will do if you were in this situation. Some questions will come to ask you about ethical dilemma. In ethical dilemma, we say you have two positive situations and you are confused to do any of them. Which of them you have to choose? Shall you say yes? Shall you say no? As example, if you are not fasting and sitting with people fasting during Ramadan, as example, Ramadan, and what will you do? Shall you eat in front of them, or shall you respect their feelings and go and choose a restaurant or somewhere in privacy you can eat? These are questions you might be asked. One of your colleagues came to you at work and asked you, please watch for me till I come back. What will be your situation? Shall you tell him yes? Or shall you tell him no? Call the operation or call the supervisor and let him send someone else. So these questions and others usually being asked by the interviewer to check out your skills, your reactions, your response to a real situations. Still we are in the common questions in the interview, and we have some questions about the personal quality. What are your major strengths and weaknesses? Yes, sometimes they ask questions about the your own strengths and weakness. Some of the interviewers, as example, he will tell you, what is the point which you consider a weak point of yours? Or what is the thing which you see that you are very positive or advantage? You have advantage which others do not possess. And tell me about the most tragic situation that happened to you, the most tragic situation, and how did you deal with it? What do you plan to being in 5 or 10 years? How you look for the future? This question is to see, are you of the guys who are short-term oriented or long-term oriented? And there is difference between both of them, of course. Which individuals have had the greatest influence of you? Once the interview is done, thank the interviewer and tell him just hope to listen from you soon, or hope to hearing from you soon, and that's it. Do not go for more proceedings or more details. Do not go for more obsessed, like when I will hear from you. Could you call me tomorrow? What will happen? Because you might call me and I'm in the subway and there is no reception, no signals. How I will know that you called me and I missed the call? Could you text me by the email, please? No need for all these questions, because the interviewer, before you leave, he had given a marks to you based on the answers of your questions. And he will never show his interest or not until he see another interviewees, because at the end he will check and choose the highest people, the highest grade people. So don't embarrass yourself by asking too much questions and to obsess yourself, and no need for that. Just you can say thank him so much, thank you so much, and hope to hearing from you soon, and that's it. You have to be patient. You have to wait after the interview and see what will happen. The question is here now, what actions should be taken when preparing for an employment interview? And the answer, an applicant should gather information about the organization, like I told you, from About Us. As example, go to the website, check About Us, then go for answering. Preparing yourself and comprehend and memorize all about the company which you are going to work for. Check out your abilities, your skills, and see this will match with these companies' needs. It will match with this company's needs. Is it yes? That's fine. Prepare answers to anticipated questions. Usually, to make scenarios for the answers is better than just wait without having any, for a sudden question. We all, when we have a sudden question, some of us might be confused. We don't have a prepared answer, an answer which we prepare previously. So it's better to prepare the answers of the anticipated or the expected questions before you go to the interview. Arrive on time, but bit earlier is better, because when you arrive a little bit earlier, that will help you to relax and settle down and to not be tense, because the most bad enemy for you is to be tense while doing your interview. So try not to be tense. And dressing code, like we said, that's more better. Shall move now to the next part, which is work analyzing and designing and definition. But before we move to this part of our work, I have to put a question here right now and ask you actually here, new slide. But okay, we'll change the design here. What you have to do for a new interview. Here we go. Or we have also our questions here, just one sec. Okay, dokie. Here we go, and we will say the third question today is what discuss. Let me open it as big question, as essay question. Discuss the interview process in details. And the sec, including common interviews, common questions. So we will discuss the interview process in details, including the interview's common questions. This is our question today. And shall leave you here to gather the information also. You can go to the websites also, it's full of the details which I talked about just now. And you can go back to this video and take the notes back from it on the spot. Shall say here or around 5 minutes till you gather the information. Please write the details here in your notebook, because this is what you came to learn today. This is what you came to learn today. So give yourself a chance to write the information here about this part which you finished. Discuss the interview process in details, including the interview's common questions. Thank you so much. We'll get back to you soon. Okay, my dears, shall go back to the question, discuss the interviews process in details, including interviews, common questions. I hope that you put your answers now on your notebook. You put your answers on your notebook. Shall leave you for the moment and go to the next video. Thanks so much. Thank you.